Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Cory Rawson High School. Sitting behind us, a brand new high school back there in the middle school. Mark Kuntz and Chris Parks joining you here. So we take a look at the 2013 Hornet football team. Josh Meyer, the head coach of these guys here, also the athletic director as well, too. Josh, like you said last year, it's always sunny in Cory Rawson. It's sunny here today. Optimism going into another season here at Cory Rawson. What are you thinking right now?
Well, sure, we're optimistic about our season. I think we've improved quite a bit. Our camps have went very well. Our 7-on-7s, we were very competitive.
Okay.
First couple days of two-a-days here obviously we've been blessed with beautiful weather, but also our kids have been great to work with. Our practice pace has been pretty good. We've got a lot of learning and teaching in, and the thing that I really like about this group is if you walk through the locker room 15 or 20 minutes before practice, almost everybody's here already. They're sitting in the locker room listening to the radio. They're hanging out. They're being good teammates. They're having fun with each other, 15, 20 minutes before practice starts. But then they're able to flip that switch, and when we come out here, they're focused on football and getting to work.
Last spring, kind of the way the dominoes fell, Cory Rawson was left a little bit of an lurch, needing to find a head coach with short time. You stepped up as the athletic director. Do you feel more comfortable now, having had the full offseason to work with these Hornets?
Most definitely. It's a whole different feeling for me because about week 7 last year, I sat down, and our kids and our community have heard this story if they've been to any of our functions, but I sat down at week 7 last year and I made a list of things that I wanted to change for next year, and I got to about 25 or 30 things, and I decided that I better stop if I wanted to sleep that night. And to be honest with you, most of those things dealt with me and how I coached. And then, though a week later I wrote down some things that I thought went right last year and that we did very well. And, unfortunately that list wasn't quite as long, but, that kind of helped me see that, hey, even though we had some negatives, there were some positives last year. But, I think the biggest thing is our kids going into the summer, they knew what I expected as far as workouts and stuff go, and as far as our practice pace and how we practice and the certain drills that we do that were a little bit different and things like that. So this year I think has went much smoother. And we're farther along for sure.
A big part of your offense and defense last year, Tyler Harris. How do you replace an athlete and a kid like him, 3-sport star here at Cory Rawson?
Sure, and like you mentioned, he's a three-sport star. I know he's our career hits leader in baseball. So, it's not just football that he was excellent at. It was basketball and baseball as well. So I'm not the only one that's going to have to answer that question. But the thing that you do is you look for maturity from your juniors and your sophomores from last year that are going to be juniors and seniors this year. Mm-hmm. And you don't try to replace all 1,400 yards maybe with one kid. You try to replace 700 with like a Garrett Shepherd and a 200 with Skylar Arnett and a 600 with Heath Reisner and Dylan Hartman, and then all of a sudden, while those guys may not have as big a numbers, maybe overall you're more balanced.
Ask you to put on the athletic director hat for a little bit now.
Sure.
The future of the Blanchard Valley Conference. We know
Yep.
Hopewell, Loudon, North Baltimore coming in. Now Riverdale's going to step up. Hardin Northern's not going to be playing football for a few years. Do you feel happy, secure with the future of the BVC? And, at this point, what can you do to make that future a little bit more secure?
Well, I think right now that we have an even number of teams, and that's a key. That has always been a key from an athletic director and high school principal and superintendent standpoint, is that it was key to have an even number of teams, especially for football, because you've seen with some of the scheduling this year that, if you have that week 8 open date, you may end up having to pay Warren JFK to come to your place, or you may have to drive like Lipsick does to south of Indianapolis to play a game. I feel pretty secure with what we have right now. I think the league as a whole is pretty sound. Travel in this league is great. The size of schools is everybody's pretty similar. So, I think for a small school league, the Blanchard Valley Conference is about as secure as you're going to get.
How excited are the kids to have a brand new school, just little bit better facilities, locker rooms, and such like that. Does it make them feel a little bit more at home here with the things that have expanded here at the high school?
Well, a little bit. That new building behind us is K through 8 mostly.
Okay.
But you know, I
you guys
think
get a chance to sneak in there at all?
it is air conditioned all the way through, which is nice. You know, our kids, you know, to their credit, and this is a compliment, we are not high maintenance. All right, and so we don't. You know, we need a stereo and a couple fans, and that's about it.
That's a good thing.
If we have those couple things, you know, we're pretty good. As far as upgrades and stuff, I think, you know, we have a gorgeous weight room. We have our game field is usually in, as far as surfaces, one of the better ones in the BVC. So our kids know that they have good things. We spend a lot of money on helmet upgrades and shoulder pad upgrades. You know, things like that are for our student athletes, I think, are always positives.
How many kids do you have out this year for the football team?
Right now we have 26, which I think last year, our first day of camp, I think we had 17 our first day of camp, and I think we ended up, I think our high water mark last year was about 25, but those were kids kind of coming and going. I feel real good about this group. Like I said, they're here on time. In fact, they're here early. They're here all the time. You know, it's not one day like today I'll have 26, tomorrow I won't have 17, I'll have 26. You know, I had 26 yesterday, and that's what we're going to have.
Yeah, certainly. It's good to have numbers up like that. You guys can go a little bit more 11-on-11 in practice, and I'm sure it helps you and the coaches out. You guys can do a little bit more now at practice, it seems like.
Sure, we're a little bit deeper than we were last year. We do have 9 freshmen in those 26, so we're trying to bring them along. The best thing about freshmen is they will become sophomores eventually.
If you let them.
Yeah, well, I'll let them. I'm, you know, I'll be glad to have 9 sophomores next year. And the one thing that I'm really grateful for is we have a good group of juniors and seniors. Even though we don't have very many of them, they are very positive with our young guys. They teach them off to the side. And they kind of sometimes balance me out because I'm not real patient sometimes.
All right, thank you very much, Josh Meyer, head coach for the Cory Rawson Fighting Hornets. We're going to take a timeout when we come back. More from Cory Rawson on WOSN.
Back here at Cory Rawson High School, 2 players joining me up here now. Ian Mosher sitting next to me, and Garrett Shepherd down there as well too. Ian, the junior, going to play quarterback, receiver, and defensive back this season. Kind of talk to me a little bit about stepping into that quarterback role this year and how you feel about that.
Well, I mean, last year's quarterback, we got a new quarterback this year, obviously. I mean, it's a little bit new position. Haven't really played it much, so it's a little bit of a challenge, but it's a good learning experience overall. Good things can happen anyway. Starts with the line, though, obviously. Can't do anything without my linemen up front. Goes to the receivers, running backs outside. Leads from there.
What kind of offense will we see you guys running this year? A lot of run, a lot of pass, mixing it up. What can we expect out of you guys?
A little bit of mix everything. Probably stay with our run game. Powers it up.
All right, sounds good. Garrett Shepherd, one of the guys that will be toting the ball this season, playing halfback and also defensive back. What can we expect out of the running back core this year? A lot of carries, a lot of handoffs?
Yeah, lots of them. Mostly, well, inside, outside handoffs, pitches.
Okay. Offensively, what kind of offense will you guys run? Like a wing tee? Will you guys be spread more? Is there a certain, like, is there a specific kind of thing that you guys will be running this season?
Not really. Everything.
And Coach gives him the thumbs up for that. So a little bit of everything, not giving anything away here. Talk about some of your opponents coming up this season. In the BBC, it's always tough. You got some of the upper echelon teams, the Lipsticks, the Liberty Bentons. Where do you guys see yourself stacking up this year against some of your BBC rivals, Ian?
We'll just try and get in the mix, maybe. Try and get to the top. That's all we can say, really.
Trying to get
Can't figure out till the season starts.
Exactly. Go to the top and try to do big things. You guys, Garrett opened up with Bluffton again, coming up in week number 1. You guys play them every single year. I'm sure you know a bunch of kids on their team. What's that like going up against the same guys in week 1 every year to get you ready for the season?
Awesome, actually. Go head and head. winner's winner, I guess. And hopefully we'll come out.
Fair enough here. Ian and Garrett joining me up on the set. One more question here for Ian. You guys open up with Bluffton week number 1. How about another opponent you're looking forward to most? Who's maybe your biggest BVC rival, Ian, that you guys face each year?
Well, I mean,
You can pick out one
they're
team.
all good opponents, but I think Arlington might be a good rival for us. I mean, usually we're about the same size school, so it's a good matchup.
All right, Arlington, Cory Rawson there, one of the rivals in the BVC. We're going to take a break. These guys are done right now. When we return, Mark has 2 more players joining us from Cory Rawson High School on the West Ohio Sports Network.
Welcome back to Cory Rawson on this high school football preview show. We are joined now by a couple of the linemen for the Fighting Hornets, Jacob Weinland and Erina Scarberry. Guys, thanks for joining us. And we talked to the skill guys in the last session. Let's talk to the linemen now. Talk about what does the line look like so far this year. So, Jacob.
We got a pretty decent sized line.
Aaron, what have you seen out of the line so far?
It's a lot of younger guys here and there, but for the most part, we got some older guys. Mostly between juniors, but there's a few seniors in there.
How did the summer go for the Hornets program?
We've been working pretty hard, going out here every morning, lifting weights, just doing what we do.
Learning a bunch of getting new plays.
With the second year now for Coach Meyer, obviously you guys know him quite well. He's been around for a while, but now coaching. Everybody talked about a bit of a whirlwind last year. Has it calmed down a little bit this year for the Hornets?
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody's kind of gotten into their groove, just kind of gone with it.
Taking a look at the schedule, Bluffton week 1. We know that's first and front of your guys' minds. And after every practice, you guys talk about beat Bluffton. What is that rivalry like? I mean, how intense of a rivalry is that for you guys?
Well, it's what we open up with. It gets us pumped a little bit. So I feel like we work harder towards that. And then for the rest of the season, we kind of double that and then keep going from there.
Let's talk a little defense, Jacob. What can we expect defensively out of the Hornets?
Pretty good defense. Strong. Working hard to get better.
Blanchard Valley Conference, we know year in and year out there's going to be 2 or 3 teams that are going to be really good. There's 2 or 3 teams that are going to be really bad. And then there's the middle. And Cory Rawson has kind of been in that middle sometimes towards the bottom of the middle, sometimes up towards the top of the middle. Where do you see the Hornets fitting into the BVC race this year?
I feel like we're going to be towards the middle or upper middle. We've been putting in some pretty good hours, working pretty hard.
And then week 10, St. Wendland. They step into your schedule with Hardin Northern's issues. You looking forward to seeing St. Wendland to wrap up the year?
Yeah. New team. Gotta get pumped for that.
Yeah, feel like we need to work a little bit harder, go out there and get them.
Jacob, what are some of the goals for this year's team?
Get better, stronger.
Aaron, how do you go about doing that?
Come out here every day, just come out to practice, and show up every day.
All right, thank you very much. As we wrap things up here from Cory Rawson, I'd like to thank all of our guests today, Coach Josh Meyer, Ian, Garrett, Jacob, and Aaron. For Chris Parks, I'm Mark Kuntz. We'll see you next time on the Western Ohio Sports Network.